Right, we have huge breaking news to bring you. Liverpool have sacked Arne Slot. He leaves the club just a year after winning the Premier League title, but after a difficult season where they failed to mount any sort of defence of their crown, despite a major investment in the playing side.
Right, we've got an update on the future of Andoni Iraola. There's a lot of information in this, so just bear with me, all right? We have been reporting that he's in talks with AC Milan, which is true. However, we have just been told that those talks are not really progressing. Andoni Iraola is interested in going to Liverpool.
On today's edition of Anfield Uncovered, Arne Slot has been sacked by Liverpool. The cost of his departure has now been revealed. A leading candidate has emerged to replace him. Enrique has broken his silence amid Liverpool links. Ibrahima Konaté has reportedly informed teammates he is leaving. Mohamed Salah's criticism of Liverpool's playing style has resurfaced. And fresh details have emerged about what really happened behind the scenes during the final weeks of Slot's reign. There is a lot to discuss today, Reds, so make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Anfield Uncovered, and turn on notifications so you never miss any Liverpool updates. Now let's get straight into it. The biggest story coming out of Anfield is the shock dismissal of Arne Slot. According to reports, Liverpool have officially parted company with the Dutchman after a disappointing 2025-26 campaign. Despite winning the Premier League in his first season, Slot was unable to build on that success. Liverpool ultimately finished fifth in the Premier League and only secured Champions League qualification on the final day of the season. And that appears to have convinced the club's hierarchy that a major change was needed. What's even more surprising is the timing. Reports suggest Slot had already begun planning for next season. Transfer targets had reportedly been identified. Pre-season plans were being prepared. And publicly, Slot was still discussing his ambitions for the future. Which is why reports claim the Dutchman was genuinely shocked when he was informed of the decision. According to Dutch media, Liverpool will now pay Slot approximately £6.9 million in compensation following his dismissal. That is a huge amount of money. But Liverpool's owners clearly believe a managerial change is necessary if the club is to move forward. And Reds, the question everyone is asking now is simple. Who comes next? Well, according to multiple reports, Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola has emerged as the leading candidate. And this is where things get really interesting. Richard Hughes knows Iraola extremely well from his time at Bournemouth. The Spaniard has built a reputation as one of the most exciting coaches in Europe. His teams press aggressively. They attack quickly. They play with intensity. And many Liverpool supporters believe his style is far closer to the football Liverpool became famous for under Jurgen Klopp. Former Liverpool striker Emile Heskey certainly thinks so. He recently claimed Iraola would be the perfect appointment because he brings the kind of aggressive, entertaining football Liverpool fans crave. Heskey even suggested Liverpool need to rediscover the identity that made them feared throughout Europe. And many supporters would probably agree with that. Because one criticism that continued to follow Slot throughout the season was that Liverpool became too slow. Too predictable. Too cautious. And that's a theme that continues throughout many of the stories emerging from inside the club. Now, while Iraola remains the favourite, he isn't the only name being discussed. Enrique has also found himself linked with the Liverpool job. Fresh from guiding Paris Saint-Germain to Champions League glory, the Spaniard remains one of the most respected managers in world football. However, PSG president Nasser Al-Khelaifi has moved quickly to calm speculation. Speaking after PSG's Champions League triumph, Al-Khelaifi described Enrique as the best coach in the world and made it very clear that he expects him to remain in Paris. That doesn't completely end speculation, but it certainly makes a move look unlikely. Meanwhile, several other names continue to circulate. Sebastian Hoeneß, Pierre Sage, Julian Nagelsmann, Simone Inzaghi, Oliver Glasner, and even Jurgen Klopp himself. Although a Klopp return currently appears highly unlikely. Still, the fact that so many names are being mentioned shows just how significant this decision is. Liverpool are not simply replacing a manager. They are potentially deciding the direction of the football club for the next decade. Now let's move on to another massive development, because reports suggest Ibrahima Konaté has already informed teammates that he will be leaving Liverpool. And if true, this could become one of the biggest blows of the summer. Contract negotiations between Liverpool and Konaté have reportedly been ongoing for well over a year. At one stage, the defender publicly suggested an agreement was close. He even stated that he always wanted to remain at Liverpool. But despite that optimism, talks have apparently collapsed. And reports now claim Konaté has told teammates he intends to leave once his contract expires. Real Madrid are once again being heavily linked. And Liverpool suddenly find themselves facing the possibility of losing one of their most important defenders for absolutely nothing. That creates a huge problem. Virgil van Dijk remains Liverpool's leader at the back. But Joe Gomez's future remains uncertain. Jeremy Xhaka is still developing. Giovanni Leone is recovering from serious injury. And suddenly Liverpool's defensive depth doesn't look nearly as strong as it once did. This means signing another centre-back could become one of the club's biggest priorities this summer. But Reds, the Konaté situation isn't the only issue emerging from inside the dressing room. Because Mohamed Salah's comments have once again become a major talking point. Following Liverpool's disappointing season, Salah publicly called for Liverpool to return to the aggressive, attacking identity that defined the Klopp era. He made it clear that Liverpool should never abandon that philosophy. And according to reports, his views were shared by several others inside the dressing room. Now whether Salah directly influenced Liverpool's decision to part ways with Slot remains unclear. But what is clear is that frustration had been growing. Supporters were becoming unhappy. Results were becoming inconsistent. And confidence in the project appeared to be fading. In fact, several reports suggest one particular home game became a major turning point. The atmosphere reportedly turned toxic. Supporters voiced their frustrations. And many now believe that was the moment Liverpool's hierarchy realized change might be unavoidable. Now, to be fair to Arne Slot, there are plenty who believe he has been treated harshly. After all, this is a manager who delivered Liverpool's 20th league title. He inherited enormous pressure after replacing Jurgen Klopp. And he successfully guided the club through one of the most emotionally difficult periods in its modern history. Many former players have pointed out that injuries played a major role in Liverpool's struggles. Several expensive signings failed to perform consistently. And there were numerous factors beyond Slot's direct control. Even some of his strongest critics acknowledge that he leaves with his reputation intact. But football can be ruthless. And ultimately Liverpool's owners felt the club needed a different direction. Now attention turns entirely toward what comes next. Will Andoni Iraola become the next Liverpool manager? Can Liverpool resolve the Konaté situation? Will more major players leave this summer? And perhaps most importantly, can Liverpool rebuild quickly enough to challenge for the Premier League title once again? Because after everything that has happened over the last few weeks, one thing is absolutely certain. This summer is shaping up to be one of the most important periods in Liverpool's modern history. Now Reds, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Liverpool's decision to sack Arne Slot? Would Andoni Iraola be the right appointment? And how concerned are you about losing Ibrahima Konaté? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to Anfield Uncovered, and turn on notifications so you never miss any Liverpool updates. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.